bees.
Yo, what's up, YouTube? This is your boy Junior, aka Smoking Guns, out here in Tucson, Arizona, representing the Ultimate Fight Club, giving you the latest content in boxing and MMA news that is out. So, today's video is going to be on Lomachenko and Gervonta Davis beef, okay? The beef between Gervonta Davis and Lomachenko. And it seems like these dudes have been going at it for almost the past couple of years now. I'm talking about ever since 2016 when both of these dudes were at that 130-pound division. And in that 130-pound division, they both were champions. And Lomachenko actually called out Gervonta Davis on multiple occasions. He's called out Gervonta Davis on multiple media outlets, has called him out on Twitter. He even called out Floyd Mayweather, trying to have him make the fight between himself and Gervonta Davis, but it didn't seem like it was ever going to happen. And Mayweather was actually very vocal, stating how that fight needed to wait. And I'm thinking it was a very smart thing for them to wait on that fight, just because at that particular time, I don't think that Gervonta Davis mentally and skill-wise was ready for a guy like Lomachenko. If he would have fought Lomachenko at that particular time, I think that would have been a very bad matchup for him, and he would have definitely lost up against Lomachenko, because if you don't have the mindset, or if you don't have the confidence thinking that you're going to go into that fight to win, then you're definitely going to end up losing. And then afterwards, Lomachenko ended up moving up to that 135-pound division. And even after he moved up to that 135-pound division, it still seemed like the back and forth banter between the two would not stop, how they were still going back and forth. And then Lomachenko was very vocal about how Gervonta Davis is still talking about this fight, wanting it to be on pay-per-view and so forth, and how he's at the 135-pound division, and how when he was at 130 pounds, Gervonta Davis wasn't willing to fight him. And now all of a sudden that he's at the 135-pound division, now all of a sudden Gervonta Davis wants to fight him. And personally, I do think that they are trying to build Gervonta Davis into that next big pay-per-view star. And I think personally, with his style, he can be the next big pay-per-view star, dude, because he's a knockout artist. He's a very exciting fighter. And I see what they're trying to do with Gervonta Davis. So throwing him to the wolves would not be a smart thing to do. But at the same time, with Lomachenko moving up to 135, and then you still have Gervonta Davis still barking at 130, it does make for a good case for Lomachenko. Like, why are you still talking unless you're going to come up? And Lomachenko even stated the only way that fight is going to happen is if Gervonta Davis does move up to the 135-pound division to be able to get that fight. Now, this feud seems like it's escalated a little bit more, especially after the recent fight with Lomachenko and Jose Pedraza. And it seems like it's escalated to that point because Jose Pedraza is a common opponent between Lomachenko and Gervonta Davis. Now, a lot of people are down on Lomachenko because of his performance with Jose Pedraza, but at the same time, I have no clue why people are down on Lomachenko. You have some people that are down in him. You have some people that are making excuses for him, talking about, oh, he had a shoulder injury and this and that. And the one thing that I don't respect about people using the shoulder injury as an excuse is because after that fight, Lomachenko clearly stated, my shoulder is 100%. So if he's not using the shoulder injury for an excuse, none of you fair weather fans should be using that shoulder injury for an excuse, okay? I see why you're using that for an excuse, because that's your favorite fighter and you want to protect your favorite fighter. But if your fighter isn't using that for an excuse, you need to stop using that for an excuse. And I know that Lomachenko was very frustrated with himself in that performance. But the thing is, if you guys listen to the last video that I made on the fight prediction for that fight, my fight prediction for that fight was that Lomachenko was going to win a decision or he was going to get a late stoppage. But I said if I had to pick, he's going to win that fight by decision because Jose Pedraza possesses certain attributes that was going to make it hard for Lomachenko to be able to get him out of there, or it was going to be hard for Lomachenko to be able to adjust to that particular style because of Jose Pedraza's footwork, his head movement, his defense. The dude is a two-division champion in his own right, okay, at the 130-pound and the 135-pound division. So the dude has friggin' skills. He was an Olympian, and he was a really friggin' good boxer. So you cannot discredit him and try to make excuses for Lomachenko and why he couldn't get him out of there. He couldn't get him out of there because Jose Pedraza is a friggin' good friggin' boxer, okay? The dude is no friggin' bum. And now, after this fight, they had an interview with Jose Pedraza. And this seems like it's escalated the beef even more. And in that interview, they friggin' asked Jose Pedraza particular questions comparing Lomachenko to Gervonta Davis. Now, in this interview, the boxing scene actually came out with an article on this interview. And in that article, it states, Lomachenko definitely better than Gervonta Davis. Now, in this article, it states, so which of the two is the better fighter overall? Lomachenko, said Pedraza during a post-fight interview recorded by FightHype.com. Definitely. Now, going into the article, it also states, Lomachenko is a fighter that breaks down his opponents little by little, said Pedraza. I believe that Davis is a fighter who knocks out his opponents with just one punch. And that quote was going to a question that an interviewer had asked him, asking pretty much, who is the bigger puncher, Lomachenko or Gervonta Davis? And that's pretty much a question that didn't even need to be asked, because I think everybody and their mama know that Gervonta Davis is the bigger puncher. Now, after this fight, Gervonta Davis went on his Twitter and posted 2 shots versus 43 shots. You pick. Now, I think everybody knows that was a clear shot to Lomachenko, because in that 11th round, Lomachenko literally threw everything and the kitchen sink at Jose Pedraza and was still not able to get him out of there. But Gervonta Davis was able to knock out Jose Pedraza in the 7th round. So that clearly shows that Gervonta Davis has that power to get your ass out of there. Plus, you could tell that Jose Pedraza had a different game plan going into the Gervonta Davis fight and going into the Lomachenko fight. And it seemed like Lomachenko had some pretty big words about both of their fights, where he was saying there's no way that you can compare both of their fights, the fight between Gervonta Davis and Pedraza and the fight between Lomachenko and Pedraza. And he had came out on an interview on Sirius XM Boxing Radio with Jerry Cooney. And I'm going to let you hear exactly what he said on that interview right now.
Pedraza did say that he thinks you're way better than Gervonta Davis. How do you feel about it? Have you guys had conversations before? You and he?
No, never. But I think we can't compare me Pedraza and Gervonta Davis Pedraza, because it was different weight class. Gervonta Davis fought with him in 130, and nobody knows how can make this weight in Pedraza on 130, and we don't know his physical condition on that fight. We don't know how he is prepared for fight with Gervonta Davis. But as you see, for fight with me, he prepared very good. He was ready. So it was very interesting. Good.
I think if Pedraza trained for Gervonta Davis the way he trained for you, he would have beaten Gervonta Davis.
I think.
Oh yeah.
Because on that fight with me, Pedraza was very focused. All fight. He was very focused. In the fight with Gervonta Davis, he lose physical condition. He lose his breath, and I think he believe in what he can make a strong punch for Gervonta Davis, and he forget about his defense.
Now, in this particular interview, I really don't understand why Lomachenko would state that. He's pretty much discrediting the Gervonta Davis win over Jose Pedraza, stating that he doesn't know what Jose Pedraza's health was like dropping down to 130, or Jose Pedraza wasn't training seriously for Gervonta Davis, When you look at Jose Pedraza's accolades, most of his accolades are at that 130-pound division. He's won the belt at that 130-pound division, and he's defended it multiple times at that 130-pound division. So you could tell that his health at that 130-pound division was great. So there's no way that you can discredit him dropping down to the 130-pound division. Another thing that a lot of people like to state is that Jose Pedraza took that fight on short notice. They had that fight January 14th, 2017. Now, if you actually go into earlier articles, Jose Pedraza already knew that he was going to be fighting Gervonta Davis way before January 14, 2017. It was actually finalized November 14th of 2016. It was actually in an article on ESPN.com, Jose Pedraza to defend 130-pound crown against Gervonta Davis January 14th. So that was literally 8 weeks before the fight with Gervonta Davis. So both of these fighters had plenty of time to be able to train themselves for their particular opponent. Also, it states in that interview with Lomachenko that Jose Pedraza did not train properly for Gervonta Davis. Now, I think it was kind of weak for Lomachenko to state something like that, because even when you go into the articles with Jose Pedraza leading up to that fight with Gervonta Davis, you could clearly see that Jose Pedraza was clearly ready for this fight with Gervonta Davis. Even in an article on the boxing scene in January 2017, he states, "I let Davis do the talking," Pedraza said following an open workout Wednesday in Brooklyn. "I like when people talk like that because I get to shut them up on the night of the fight. He's a Floyd Mayweather imitation, just like all imitations. It's not as good as the real one." He also states in the article, "I feel ready to fight. I'm anxious to get in the ring. I can't wait for Saturday night and to show the whole world what I'm made of. I have the advantage in experience and in reach and height. He's going to try to bring pressure, but I'll be ready for it. Not only do I have more pro experience, but more amateur experience as well. All of these years of being on the big stage is going to help me in the fight. I'm ready for any type of fight. The question is, will Davis be ready? If Davis gets tired, he's going to have trouble in the late rounds." And we see exactly how that fight played out. Davis did bring the pressure, but Pedraza was not ready for that pressure because Davis was friggin' letting him have it in that friggin' fight. And Pedraza just wasn't ready for what Davis had to bring. And it is what it is. So there's no way that you can state that Pedraza was not ready for that fight or was not training properly for that fight, because when you go into the earlier interviews with Pedraza, he clearly states that he was more than ready for that fight and that he was anxious to get in that ring with Gervonta Davis. But just like everybody else that fights Gervonta Davis, his fate was just the same, and it ended up in the 7th round knockout. Now, where is this beef going to lead between Gervonta Davis and Lomachenko? I have no clue, but I'm hoping that the beef is settled soon in the ring, because this would be a great fight between two great fighters that have contrasting styles, where you have a guy like Gervonta Davis, who's a friggin' pure knockout artist, goes in there to get your ass out of there. And he has the type of style that could pose problems for Lomachenko, but Lomachenko also has the type of style that could pose a lot of problems for Gervonta Davis, especially with the way that he creates angles and the volume and the pressure that he's able to put on his opponents. That could create a lot of problems for Gervonta Davis. But I also think that that particular style could end up leading him to get hurt in that fight, because the one thing with Gervonta Davis is he is willing to exchange punches with you. Right now, I don't think that Gervonta Davis skill-wise is ready to get in that ring, but I give it by the end of 2019, you keep Gervonta Davis busy in the ring, and dude, that would be a friggin' badass fight to see. If it's on pay-per-view, we'll have to find out, but no matter where it's at, dude, it's going to be friggin' exciting as hell, and that's something I'm definitely going to have to see, okay? So I hope you guys like the video. If you guys like the video, make sure to hit the like button. If you're not subscribed to the channel, make sure you subscribe to the channel. And if you guys have any kind of questions, any kind of comments on this beef, make sure to hit me up in the comment section, and I'll be sure to hit you guys up, okay? So I hope you like the video. Holla at your boy.